sex. It's like,
no man is saying that. Let's be real.
And then in the third act, when our besties finally have sex, the most cliche thing imaginable happens. Frankie lets out a single tear escape mid-sex, as if that's what true love is supposed to look like. I want to roll my eyes at it, but to be fair, it is kind of hot when they start crying because you're doing it to them.
That's insane. That is insane. We actually, you have to edit that out, right? You have to edit that out, right? Listen, don't play with the algorithm, you can get us banned on like every platform. Nah,
lastly,
I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can do this. I can't be a part of this. I can't co-sign it. I did not know he was going to say that. We don't look at each other's notes before.
What's wrong with that? That's what happened in the book, right?
Nah, that's... Gentlemen, listen up. I'm about to give you the best advice you will ever receive. Boy best friends are not a thing. If she tells you he's just a friend, then she's already cheating. If she tells you not to worry about him, then just cut to the chase and kill them both on the spot. I bet Nate Bacon wished somebody had given him that advice before his wedding day. His wife to never be, Frankie Gardner, had for some reason been permitted to invite her lifelong boy bestie, George St. James, even going so far as to make him her best man. I don't even know brides got best men. But what do I know, right? I'm just a God-fearing man in a world full of heathens.
Crazy.
Everything about this story was absolute sacrilege.
Well, I loved it. I loved every moment of it. I'm sure you agree.
Absolutely.
But what did you think of the book, though? Pause this video right now. Go and read Our Perfect Storm by
Carley Fortune. And when you've read it, you can join us for the discussion.
Or you can join us anyway, because we're going to tell you all about it. My name's Elijah.
And I'm Joseph, and welcome to the Aisha Library. This book was...
I want to hide my face.
This book was a papier toilet.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I didn't like anything about it.
Was it boring?
Yes.
I thought he was gonna say no. So it wasn't. It was boring and it wasn't entertaining at all whatsoever.
I wouldn't say it wasn't entertaining at all whatsoever, but it wasn't. I don't think boring and entertaining are necessarily
opposites. And you don't think they're opposites?
Not necessarily. Not polar opposites.
Really?
Not
you can't
polar
be
opposites.
Bored and entertained.
That doesn't mean they're polar opposites, though.
Yes, it does.
No,
you can't have them both.
No,
you can't. You just can't say, "Oh, this was so boring, but it was entertaining as fuck."
No, well, you said entertaining as fuck. Like, I could think a boring movie had entertaining parts.
Okay, fair enough.
So they're not polar opposites, but
yeah.
I put it back there at the end there.
Yeah,
like halfway through, I was like,
I gave in.
Halfway through, I was like, am I waffling?
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Do you want to let's get into it?
Yeah.
Then. I'll go first.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that this story is going to be one huge humiliation ritual for Nate Bacon. First of all, his name is literally Nathan Bacon, so we know his parents don't love him. His fiancée is playing in his face by inviting her boyfriend to their weddings. That's another L right there. I really don't like stories with women.
At all.
Who need to go off and find themselves and nurture their inner lost girl at the expense of the dignity of a guy who doesn't deserve to be treated like an option. It always feels like a self-insert to me, like the author is advocating for accepting attention, affection, love, loyalty from one guy, and then when you're done milking him dry, and not in a good way, they just hop to the next fella and keep it pushing. Yeah. Like, it's not like they were just casually seeing each other. She fully agreed to marry him. Yeah. That's trash behaviour, and he should kill her.
Yeah. Look, this is nothing new. We've seen it all before. And that's what I have that in my mind when I go into this book. So I look for things that are a little bit different, a little bit creative, and I'm still looking. Why are you being an arsehole, George? Was George actually being an arsehole? Frankie had just announced her engagement to her friends and family around the dinner table. Most of the people were very surprised, as she'd only been with her partner for 6 months. But when you know, said Frankie. Round the table, one by one, her nearest and dearest congratulated her, all except her best friend George. Aren't you going to say anything? Frankie challenged George. I don't think you want to hear what I have to say, muttered George. Maybe I do, Frankie doubled down. Instead of unleashing on Frankie, George abruptly stood up and left the gathering.
He wants to unleash on her. Yeah, I was about to say, he wants to unleash on her, right?
Frankie called out after him, "Why are you being such an arsehole, George?" So I ask you, Joseph, did George act appropriately as somebody who doesn't approve of a marriage should do? Or maybe you might think that the proper method is to wait to scream out, "I object!" when prompted by the pastor.
That's exactly what I would do. You got to come through the doors right as he's saying, "Speak now, forever." Boom. And that's when you do it, Shrek style. But
I mean, Frankie seemed to think that George acted like a dick, and in fact, George at a later date actually apologized for his behavior. Do you think he did anything wrong, in your opinion?
I think they both did something wrong. So first of all, he shouldn't have been like, "I don't think you want to hear what I have to say."
He
Because
shouldn't have said, "I won't have sex with you," when they were 14.
Oh
or
my God.
15.
That's basically what he said. That's basically, he said all he needed to say, but he just didn't use the words. Because if somebody says, if you get a new job, for example, you're like, "Joseph, oh, you congratulate me," and I'm like, "I don't think you want to hear what I have to say." You're gonna be like, "Well, that doesn't sound good."
But shouldn't he have handled the situation better? I mean, he's around a group of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So he should have just said, "Oh, congratulations."
Absolutely.
He should have pretended to be happy for
Yeah.
him. Over the moon.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Okay, there's a limit on like how much performance is required for this. But whatever you think is
if we're talking
inappropriate.
about nearest and dearest, we're not talking about strangers.
Yeah.
We're talking about inner circle. They should be able to have a conversation.
Nah, hell no. People don't do that. People don't do that. Like, you know how brands are with these things. It's just my day sort of thing. Like, you don't fuck.
So what you're saying is George was in the wrong.
I think they was both in the wrong, because when he said, "Yeah, I don't think you want to hear what I have to say," the correct thing for Frankie to do was like try and laugh it off or try and move on.
Talk about
she
this.
was like, "I want to hear it," and it's just like, now we got to do it. Now we actually have to have this out.
No, but he definitely shouldn't have said. I don't think. Yeah.
He definitely made the original mistake for sure. He definitely made the original mistake. She just doubled down on the mistake, just made it worse.
Yeah.
But they're both idiots.
Fair enough. But the wrong move is definitely to wait for their wedding and say, "Hey,
That's the absolute worst thing that you could do. Jesus Christ, instant flashback. We don't need a flashback to see how she and George met as kids. We don't need to see their whole life story. Why don't they just mention it as a throwaway dialogue sort of thing? That's exactly the sort of thing best friends would talk about on occasion, especially if they've been friends for 22 years. It's so early in the book, and Carley is already doing her best to drive that word count up. When I saw, I forgot how they put the chapter, but it was like, Frankie and George meeting. I was like, "Oh, you're lying. They're going to make us sit through their whole life story up until this point, and we already know."
But it was necessary for the development of the characters, so we can grow to love them and want them to be together.
I grew to hate them.
Yeah, it was unnecessary, and it's worse when something's unnecessary and unoriginal. It's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah,
we've
yeah,
done
it's
this
literally
before, like there's no reason for it, like, other than to
100%.
get a word count up. Can you not write a good story yourself?
Shocking.
Do you want to go again? Then?
Yes, I'll go again. As I thought, this story is shaping up to be the humiliation ritual I thought it would be. It's framed from Frankie's perspective, but it's framed from Frankie's perspective as her finding in George everything she thought Nate was. But from my toxically male, misogynistic perspective, it reads like a woman who doesn't have a clue what she wants and is incapable of commitment. She's waiting for some magic spark to tell her who to be with, and she thinks she has that with George because he's the shiny toy that makes her wonder, what if? Give it a few months and she'll be bored, and George will be back in the friend zone, if this was realistic. Where he belongs. Because it's a woman's fantasy, even down to the cat with a cringy name, Atomic Yellow, don't know what that was about. Every man exists to be a toy for her to amuse herself with until she's bored, and so she will probably get a happy ending that will justify her shocking behaviour. We saw a similar thing with the fourth wing triangle of Violet, Sorengale, Dane and Xaden. Violet's prose never misses an opportunity to humiliate Dane in order to make Xaden look better by comparison. Sort of a "you could never be him" sort of thing. During the early wedding scenes, the metaphors are super heavy-handed. Nate can barely dance and keeps treading on Frankie's toes, and then George leads her in a flawless waltz. Like, what groom would not practice dancing before his wedding day? And then after all of that, he lets Frankie and George go on a honeymoon together? Has he no shame?
See, I would still lean towards the book didn't shame Nate. It wasn't a Nate bashing for the whole book, or not even for a lot of it. It seemed like they got Nate out of the way very quickly.
They did get Nate out of the way, but then, I think the one redeeming thing was that he actually left her, as opposed to her leaving him. Because if she had left him, or just called the wedding off, that would have been ultimate nails in the coffin.
Yeah, and it demonized her. She had to be the damsel in distress.
Yeah, for George to come and save her.
She had to be victim,
For George to come and save her,
I think the thing that bothers me the most about these best friends to lovers stories is that how over the top the affection gets. You end up with actions that clearly cross the line past friendship and into something else entirely. Here's an example. George crunches into an apple and then hands it to Francesca. She takes a bite and hands it back. they might as well be having sex. Am I mad for thinking that sharing an apple like that is more intimate than sex? Because on one hand, it feels insanely personal, but on the other, you can't exactly call it a break-up worthy offence if you catch your partner sharing fruit with somebody else. It's that weird grey area where it's technically nothing, but it feels like it's everything. So if you saw your girl biting an apple,
better right than she is. Bloody hell. You're right, it's better than us is. Yeah, no, if I saw that.
That's it, curtains.
That's it, curtains.
You can't rage over that, though. Okay.
Oh, who said rage?
It's an apple.
And she bit the bit where he bit. Hell nah.
Lick the ice cream.
Hell. Oh nah. Come on, what are we doing?
I wouldn't share an ice cream with my girl. That's crazy.
You wouldn't?
I wouldn't want to. But you know,
if I would.
If she says try some, crazy.
Get all of that.
2 hands. And it wasn't the only moment. Frankie and George constantly act like they're more than just friends. They both got tattoo of each other's names. At that point, what are we even doing here? That's not best friends. That's a couple in denial.
100%.
It just feels unbelievably unrealistic. And I don't know why the author went so heavy-handed with it. Is that what readers actually want? Because for me, it completely pulled me out of the story. Wouldn't it have been better to, I don't know, give us smaller moments, subtle ones, where they kind of accidentally cross a line without realizing it? A look that lingers too long, a touch that means more than it should, instead of acting like a married couple from page 1.
Yeah.
Because once you've got them feeding each other strawberries, getting matching tattoos, and basically emotionally cheating on every future partner before the romance has even started, where's the progression? Where's the tension?
Yeah.
If anything, the story should make us question it alongside them. It should build, it should earn a moment where they finally admit it's more than a friendship. But here, it just feels like they skipped the entire journey and went straight to the destination while still pretending they haven't left yet. And that's what kills it. Not the idea of friends to lovers, but the fact that they were never really just friends to begin with.
Yeah, 100%.
They even shared a kiss beforehand.
Yeah.
And they just decide, oh, this isn't for us. We don't like
100%. The whole will they, won't they thing, it has to be built on stuff that you can ignore. So like if you're you know, boyfriend and girlfriend basically, but you're friends, like you said, a look that lingers too long, you might like touch hands, whatever, you can ignore that. You can pretend it didn't happen. You're there feeding each other strawberries. You got to address that. That has to be addressed sooner or later. And it's like, why can't he say he likes it if he can feed this girl strawberries, bite her apple that he bit, you know, they can get matching tattoos. Surely you just be like, go do a thing now, innit? So it honestly didn't make any sense.
The glasses, remember, she'd take his glasses off and clean it for him, put them back on. It's like,
crazy.
Like, come on, what are we doing?
I think any woman that has a tattoo of her boy best friend's name has no business getting married. For the streets.
For forever.
For the alleyway. Done. Until that tattoo's gone. And that's generous.
Crazy. You can't,
you can't get into heaven with tattoo. Whether you cover it up or not, you're done. I'll be honest, this isn't a novel. It's a collection of literary skits about a boy and a girl who spend their entire young lives yearning for each other, but lacking the common sense and communicative skills to just fucking say it. I keep waiting for the plot to show up, but it is just more of the same thing, chapter after chapter. George and Frankie being cute together, checking into the hotel as a couple, then the odd flashback sprinkled in. Frankie and George sharing their first kiss, Frankie trying to seduce George into taking her virginity at 16, yada yada. And you let this man come to your wedding. You did it to yourself. The only thing keeping me interested in this story is the possibility of finding out why Nate called the wedding off. Hopefully it's not something vomit-inducing, like he realised he wasn't good enough for her, or some shit. I would love it if he found a funnier, better-looking and skinnier woman. That would be the best twist ever.
Yeah.
But yes, it was indeed something vomit-inducing.
But that's actually a good point. It should have been a good reason, because the actual reason we were given was weak.
It was shockingly weak, and we had to wait a long time to get to it. So it still served as a purpose to keep reading, but it was no payoff.
That, if not for that, then, that I would have switched.
It would have been heavily DNF worthy.
Yeah, exactly. This book really is nothing special. It's just more of the same recycled slop. We've got George acting like the flawless simp he is. Don't tranquilize yourself. Your fire is one of the things I admire about you. Yeah, all right, mate.
That's so obviously written by a woman.
In your dreams, ladies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then, I don't ever stop complaining. It's one of the things I love about you the most.
No man is saying that. Let's be real.
And then in the third act, when our besties finally have sex, the most cliche thing imaginable happens. Frankie lets out a single tear escape. mid-sex, as if that's what true love is supposed to look like. It's the kind of scene that feels engineered in a lab specifically to make TikTok readers gasp and clutch their patent blankets or pearls.
100%.
I want to roll my eyes at it, but to be fair, it is kind of hot when they start crying because you're doing it to them.
That's insane. That is insane. We actually, you have to edit that out, right? You have to edit that out, right? Listen, don't play with the algorithm, you can get us banned on like every platform.
Lastly,
I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can do this. I can't be a part of this. I can't co-sign it. I did not know he was going to say that. We don't look at each other's notes before.
What's wrong with that? That's what happened in the book, right?
Nah, that's crazy.
That's what happened in the book.
Listen, I won't say more. I won't say much more.
Lastly, our insufferable main character Frankie completely loses it when she finds out George was the reason for her fiance Nate calling off the wedding the night before it happened. George basically drunkenly confessed to Nate that he has always been in love with Frankie. But honestly, if Nate was willing to abandon the woman he supposedly loved because another man admitted he had feelings for her, then surely that alone proves that Nate was never the right guy for her in the first place. So, did George actually do her a favour? And in a weird way, did Nate do Frankie a kindness by refusing to go through the marriage when he clearly, with a marriage he clearly wasn't admitted to?
Yeah, he did definitely do a kindness. And I think ultimately the only good guy in the story is actually Nate, because he actually did the responsible thing as opposed to like George. I was like, George, so you can get drunk, you can tell my mum, you can't get drunk, tell her. That makes no sense to me.
That is very true.
Like, it's ridiculous.
You
can tell her boyfriend, her fiance, who might actually slap your head in.
Because realistically, what a husband would do is go and tell his wife immediately anyway.
Yeah, and I would tell her in the worst way to make George look in the worst possible light.
And if you did tell your wife, all that does is double down on the fact that she wants you and not him, because she'll say,
exactly.
Really, I didn't know this,
and she has an opportunity to affirm your relationship and that kind of thing. Yeah,
that's
Nate did.
At this point, you could say, look, you and George are done. I don't even want you talking to him anymore.
That time was long ago, bro, because they've got matching tattoos and all these things.
And you
kill
can
him.
remove that tattoo too.
I'd give her the gun. Take care of him.
My biggest issue with the book was, no, it wasn't boring per se. These things technically happen. The problem is, things technically happen. The problem is that it never gave me a compelling reason to keep reading. There was no mystery pulling me forward, no emotional tension I desperately needed to be resolved, no fascinating character work, no unique perspective. It just sort of existed, scene after scene of attractive people being emotionally messy in ways that felt more manufactured than authentic. And that's the real killer for a romance book. If I don't desperately need to know whether these two people end up together, then what exactly is carrying the story? The book spends hundreds of pages pretending there's uncertainty when, in reality, everybody, including the characters themselves, already know where it's going. 0 stars.
I agree. I think it feels manufactured. And my biggest problem with the book is that it is so obviously written. It's a woman's fantasy, isn't it? She's got, the husband that, he'll be around, he'll provide stability, like I said, affection, loyalty, love. And then as soon as she wants him to bugger off, he buggers off. No man is doing that. She's got the platonic best friend who just wants to share things with her and just do whatever she wants to do all day, which is like, no, that boys don't.
What do they say? Oh, we just hang out and eat pizza and talk around in the kitchen. It's like, you're not that amazing. Like, you are not that amazing that a man, all he wants to do is just be your friend.
It's crazy.
Just be in your...
It's crazy, but it just reeks of, when you're on the hub, you are on the hub and it says, then get this AI bot that will do whatever you want. That's basically what this is, but for women.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a man that will do whatever you want. I cannot believe I read 47 chapters for this payoff. So the reason Nate called the wedding off was because George drunkenly confessed to him that he loves Frankie. That's it. That's the secret. Nate couldn't tell Frankie this for some unknown reason, but it just confirms what I've been saying this whole time. Nate was never actually a character. He was an emotional support plushie for Frankie to squeeze and then discard when the plot requires. Absolutely nothing character. This book wasn't about a love triangle. It was more a chronicling of Frankie's emotional journey as she realizes what she needed was in front of her eyes the whole time.
Stupid.
Not very well executed because, as we said, there's no uncertainty. There's no, from the beginning, they seemed like they was in the thick of it.
It was never a secret that George loved Frankie. Even all the friends and family knew as well.
Literally. The only one who didn't know
was her.
Was Frankie. The book never really got out of first gear or took anything to the next level. It just flatlined the whole way through, added in some flashbacks to make getting it through really dragging. So it was like, if you love this boring book, and guess what we've got? We've got more boring bits.
So let's get down to it. What would you rate?
Solid 4 stars. No, I'm genuinely going to say, I'll say 1. I'll say 1.
1 is fair.
1 is definitely. I was going to say 0, but then I was thinking there was some funny parts.
Yeah, I actually don't think it was boring. So I think they've done something. Okay.
They did something right, yeah.
But there was no originality, no characters that were likable. I didn't enjoy reading them. There was no humor. You know, they didn't do anything. You know, Nate didn't pull up on a holiday and say, you know, I want to, you know, I'm sorry, or there was nothing. You know, there was no tension, nothing.
Yeah. This reminds me of...
He didn't pull up with a new girl or something, you know.
Do you understand?
There's so much things that he could have done, and
Facts.
they did nothing.
This reminds me of Funny Story by Emily Henry, where they had like a lot of potential for it to be a bit messy, for it to be a bit controversial, with like a little bit of backstabbing, pettiness, and they just discarded all of it for the sake of having this lovey-dovey, dreamy thrill ride. I can't even say thrill ride, can I? Teacup ride. Let's go teacup ride.
Yeah. Yeah, so 1 star. All right, well, I suppose that's us done.
That is us.
Hopefully we don't have to do much more of these romance books. I think I'm going to try and stay away from them.
I was about to say, whoever's picking them, we need to have a word with them.
Yeah. So,
He didn't find that one funny.
no. But yeah, till next time, I suppose.
Till next time.
Ah!
So just
Yeah.